Hey, good afternoon, guys. Meteorologist David Yeomans back with you live from Houma, Louisiana. This right here looks like a pretty good hurricane, doesn't it? Well, believe it or not, this is actually just a small taste of what this hurricane can offer. We're finally getting the brush of the outer eye wall. This isn't even the worst of the outer eye wall. We've got a 10-mile wide outer eye wall to get through, which will look worse than this. A little break, and then another 10-mile wide inner eye wall to get through. And that's where the worst of the winds will be. The latest advisory on this storm is still a 150 mile per hour strong Category 4 hurricane. I'm being very, very careful of what is upwind of me for obvious reasons. I am on top of a 6th floor parking garage, so there's no debris lofted to this level. So I am comfortable in showing you the power of the wind here for just a couple minutes. Let me come back to you though so we can talk in a bit more peace. And let's talk to you about this storm. Is this okay here, Frank? Yeah. So as you guys keep looking out toward the storm, those raindrops, they sting your skin like thousands of little needles hitting you. These are certainly hurricane force wind gusts. At times it's sustained hurricane force winds. We've seen not only the trees there in the distance starting to get stripped of a lot of their leaves and small branches, but soon with the actual outer eye wall and then certainly the inner eye wall with the core of the winds, large sections of those trees will be broken off. The whole trees themselves will likely be uprooted. Many of these trees have stood for more than 200 years, I heard from a nearby homeowner. We have touched base again with the local lieutenant at the Houma Police Department. He said no new emergency calls. Everybody's still batting down the hatches. But you know, I hope I'm wrong, but I think that will unfortunately change as conditions continue to deteriorate over the next couple of hours. This is a real show of force of what the atmosphere can do. This high-end Category 4 hurricane, as we told you earlier, tied with two other storms, including Hurricane Laura last year, for the strongest storm to ever hit Louisiana. And what you're looking at, is maybe 80, 90 mile an hour winds. Wait for the 150 mile per hour winds, which are still on the way. The edge of the eye, which is the clearing in the middle of the storm, we're still expecting to feel that. It's about 23 miles away from us. So at the current pace that it's moving, and it is slowing down a little bit, making the numbers a little difficult, we should get the eye in about 2 hours, maybe an hour and 45 minutes from right now. It's pretty remarkable. The storm made landfall as 150 miles per hour peak intensity. And in the following advisory, an hour and a half later, the storm still had 150 mile per hour peak winds. Why is that? Well, as you know, warm water is hurricane fuel, but it made landfall, so that usually weakens a storm. Well, when you make landfall in the swampland of southern Louisiana, we call it the brown ocean. It's kind of like land mixed with ocean, right? It's swamps, there's a lot of water, a lot of hot water still, even though it is technically the shore or the coastline. The ocean, or the hurricane rather, still kind of thinks it's over the ocean. So it can maintain its intensity. We saw Hurricane Katrina do this, not in Louisiana, but when it made its first landfall over the Florida Everglades near Miami. It moved over the entire Florida peninsula from Miami to Naples, and it maintained its intensity. It actually intensified at one point because it was moving over what we call a brown ocean. So as the brown ocean effect continues, this hurricane is crawling towards us about 12, 13 miles per hour. That's why I don't think this storm weakens much before it gets here. Luckily, this reinforced concrete parking garage is holding firm. We have seen some of the light poles wavering a little bit in the wind. It does appear that this entire area has now lost power. We saw a power flash happen off camera earlier. Big explosion, blue light. And after that, we noticed that the traffic lights are out. We also tried to plug our equipment into the wall here in the parking garage elevator shaft. And that power is not working either. So I think it is safe to say that we've lost power in this area. Now, right across the way there, that big building that looks kind of like a bunker, that's the hospital with the windsock on top of it. I'll bet that windsock gets shredded up tonight, this afternoon. Now the hospital, usually they have their own either really sophisticated backup generator or sometimes their own little miniature power grid. So I would be very surprised if the hospital has lost power. Although it's hard to see any lights on them, and that might just be because it's daytime, of course. But man, this storm has been producing this jet howl as it approaches from the southeast. And again, these are not even the worst of the winds yet. Let me step out again here so you can see the power, the intensity. We talked with a homeowner nearby, right across the street from us actually, who's riding out the storm. And I'm peeking over at their house now. We'll give you a look at it here in a little bit. And everything still looks fine. But when you have hurricane force wind gusts like this, and you're not even in the core of the outer eye wall yet, that's when you know you're in the midst of a strong storm. Hurricane Ida rapidly intensified several times on the way to Louisiana coast, which is absolutely remarkable. And you know, the wind's getting a little too strong now. It's really hard to stand up out there. What I was saying is Ida has intensified rapidly several times. Just for a storm to do that once is pretty spectacular, but it's done it several times on its way to the coast. And you know, we talk about climate change and warmer oceans. Climate change has been shown to make rapid intensification events more common. Last year we had a record 7 rapid intensification events, different storms, 7 of them rapidly intensified. This one certainly has as well, and you know, as oceans heat up, that's more fuel for these hurricanes. Climate change is making hurricanes 10 to 15% stronger than they used to be. So as we batten down the hatches here in Houma, we're going to continue reporting for you with these periodic live streams. Hope everybody's staying safe and dry back in central Texas. And if we have any viewers here in southeastern Louisiana, it's very crucial that you not leave the shelter that you've chosen at this point. We hope that you've found a sturdy, concrete, reinforced, or brick home. Some other heavy type of construction might do as well. If you know anybody in a mobile home, please do call to check on them. Cell service is still fine down here, as none of the cell towers have been taken out yet. I say yet because I know that they will be. Hurricane Harvey, with winds 20 miles per hour weaker than this, twisted and mangled cell phone towers on the middle Texas coast, you'll recall. So, you know, we've got great service now, but I don't think that will last. So if you've got to check in on anybody, friends, family, let's go ahead and do that so we can make sure that you get through to them. And if you can't get a hold of them in a little bit, don't automatically think the worst. It's very possible that they will just lose either their landline power or cell phone reception. Okay? So we'll be back here with more periodic updates from Houma, Louisiana. Again, the outer eye wall starting to blow in from one of the strongest storms to ever hit Louisiana. It's just after 2 o'clock here, and Ida has already made landfall. We expect the eye of Ida to move over our location in maybe about an hour and a half from right now. So we're looking forward to showing you what that rare sight looks like as well. I'll leave you with the sights and sounds of Hurricane Ida.